We were in 2014 and for 6 years the footballing world had been held for ransom by Spain and their devastating Tiki-Taka. Their frequent one-goal margin wins failed to show how dominating they truly were, but trust me when I tell you, La Roja made the best teams look like complete amateurs as they went on to win 3 consecutive international tournaments. And now they were about to defend their World Cup, hoping to become back-to-back winners in yet another competition. Although no European nation had ever won a World Cup in South American soil, most saw Spain as the biggest threat to the South American giants. So when they were eliminated after only 2 group stage matches, the entire world was stunned. But in reality, the Spanish collapse was destined to happen and the signs were everywhere, clear for everyone to see. In this video, I'll pinpoint the several reasons that led to the biggest downfall in international football history, and make sure you stay until the end because I'm sure you'll be surprised when I reveal a particular culprit. To start off, let's kick the obvious reason out of the way: age. Most people consider 2006 or 2008 as the beginning of Spain's golden period, but actually a good chunk of the players that have been thrashing everyone to pieces were already playing the national team way before that. And no matter how godlike they seemed at times, there's always one opponent you can never truly beat: time. Spain came into the 2014 World Cup with the 7th oldest squad in the tournament, and in their first match, Vicente del Bosque didn't hesitate to start their veteran stars. Casillas, Xavi Alonso were all past their 30s, and as it was evident in their campaign, a bit past their prime as well. But unlike most people, I don't credit age as either the sole or the most important reason behind their failure to continue their dynasty. Spain had consecutively won the 2011 and 2013 editions of the Under-21 Euro Championship, boasting several top players that should have been gradually included in the squad. Young stars like De Gea, Koke, Isco, Thiago Alcantara all could have played a vital role by rejuvenizing the squad. Instead, half of them weren't even picked, and the other wasn't given an opportunity or enough time to make a difference. This transition should have been planned ever since Spain won the Euros in 2012, but after such a long time on top, it would be very hard for Del Bosque not to feel comfortable. On the other hand, part of the blame can't really be put on him. Spanish players suffered a lot with injuries ever since they conquered the World Cup. Xavi Alonso, Torres, Iniesta and Xavi all went through several physical problems that ultimately sped up the end of their careers. While injuries to Thiago and Reze deprived coach Vicente del Bosque of 2 players who might have injected some new blood into the team, something Gerard Piqué, Pedro and Sergio Busquets did at the South Africa World Cup and Jordi Alba at the 2012 European Championships. But there was one injured player that in my opinion had a bigger impact on the squad than anyone of the aforementioned: David Villa. I'm not questioning Xavi's or Iniesta's role in the golden age of Spanish football. They were, alongside Casillas and Ramos, the most skilled footballers in the group and will forever be talked about when we think about the cream of the crop of Spanish football. But Villa was the firepower in that well-organized army. He was a difference maker in the 2010 World Cup, and even if Spain made it work 2 years later without him, their abundance of quality and versatility from the midfield masked their attacking issues. In 2014, injuries had torn Villa apart. Torres' morale and fitness was hitting rock bottom after becoming the English media's favorite laughingstock. Diego Costa fell out of place, and Soldado, Negredo and Llorente never grew into the world-class strikers they promised to be as youngsters. Spain had a glaring issue in their attack, but an even bigger one in their overall tactics. Up until this point, you'd rarely find La Roja in disadvantage. Spain was usually the one team dictating the pace of the match, and most of the ball possession was theirs. That led to some complacency by the players, who gradually became worse when they had to take the initiative in the game. In their first group stage match in 2014, Spain faced the Netherlands in a rematch from the last edition's final. And if it all went to plan, Spain would go into halftime winning 1-0, but then this moment changed everything. And after the break, the Dutch absolutely destroyed Spain. It didn't matter that Spain were able to keep the ball for longer, they were simply unable to create any meaningful chances. The once brilliant duo Xavi and Iniesta now looked dazed, unable to effectively distribute the ball due to the immense pressure applied by the Netherlands. Fast forward to their second group stage fixture and the story didn't change much. Vicente del Bosque decided to bench Xavi, but their game plan continued exactly the same. So when Spain found themselves in disadvantage again after less than 20 minutes of play, they continued to look as clueless and out of sync as they did against the Netherlands, and by halftime, Chile was already winning by 2 goals. In the second half, Spain finally became a bit more direct with the arrival of Koke, but after a certain point, They were no longer playing a well-structured direct-style game. They were just desperately shooting into goal, hoping luck would help them, but Claudio Bravo had other plans. It only took 120 minutes to completely wreck an empire that lasted for 6 years and that took decades to build. However, to be fair, the code behind Spain's dominance had already been cracked in 2010. Let me explain. On the 20th of April 2010, Barcelona faced Mourinho's Inter in the first leg of that year's Champions League semi-finals. The odds were clearly on Barca's side, but the special one had a plan to stop Tiki-Taka. Inter didn't try to minimize Barcelona's possession time like the other teams. Instead, the Italians allowed the Spanish giants time with the ball, but kept them far away from goal. They aggressively pressed them and forced them to commit mistakes, and when they did so, Inter viciously stroked them with counter-attacks. In the end, Inter won that match 3-1, and not only did they take a giant step into their Champions League success, but they also did it by exposing one of the most dominant forces football had ever seen. From that point on, Barca continued to have success, and they even went on to win 2 Champions League titles in the next 5 years, but they did so by adapting their style of play into a more direct one and with the help of fresher talent. Football had evolved, but Spain failed to do the same. According to Iniesta though, exposing Tiki-Taka wasn't the only thing Mourinho did that harmed Spanish football. His aggressive conduct in El Clasico matches turned a bitter rivalry into a hateful one. There were fights, injuries, insults and everything in between, which put a lot of strain in the already volatile alliances made by Real and Barca players. I can only imagine when things went wrong in Brazil, there wasn't enough cohesion and trust in each other to collectively bounce back, and as a result, that once dominant team collapsed under stress. Almost 10 years have passed since the Spanish football empire came crashing down, and despite some glimmers of hope here and there, La Roja is still far from their best days. To put it simply, the current Spanish players are not on par with the standards left by the golden generation and they lack a proper identity. But in all fairness, no national team is currently at that level either. Spain's fall was inevitable. After all, time is undefeated, but a lot more could have been done to keep Spain at the top of world football. Let this serve as a warning to every football dynasty and to every hopeful fan that only through constant reevaluation and willingness to adapt can a powerhouse remain on top for longer than natural. But what do you think? Is Spain from 2008 until 2012 the greatest national team side of all time? Let me know your opinion in the comments. Drop a like as it really helps pushing this video to more people and subscribe to Throne FC to never miss the most interesting football discussions, stories and top 10 lists. Thank you for watching until the end, I appreciate you and I will see you soon.